promiscuous as a single lady. So I tell people, if you have been raped, talk about it. A couple of therapies, even as therapists and counselors, we still say that we cannot heal. The Holy Spirit is the one that heals. But at least there are some things we can say to you. We help manage it by God's grace. But we don't talk. The prostitutes you see in the brothel today, you think they once said, when I grow up, I would love to be a prostitute. No. I have never met a prostitute that was not sexually abused. What about guys? I have seen a guy that today he will say to me, say, Florence, I cannot even walk with a woman. Why? Because I was abused by a boy. So I am gay. This guy started from 4. He was a house help. And he grew up to see it as a normal thing. So abuse can actually make people sexually promiscuous. And the big thing that has killed us in this generation as young people is pretense. We don't talk. We pretend about everything. You have gone through something as a young girl or as a teenager and you're not talking about it to get help. Even in church, we pretend, bless you. That's the Christian password. We are fine. In fact, we sing and the angels will come down. We are dying in silence. One thing I kept hearing about today's event is freedom. That some people will be free from the shackles of the enemies. You don't know what you engage in when you are sleeping around. When you are having sex out of wedlock. Sex is a covenant exchange. That's one definition we always use at Sex Center. It is a covenant exchange. Few years ago, a lady died of depression. And that was because she slept with a guy that has this long history of depression in his lineage. Do you know that you can never be better than the person you sleep with? And when you sleep with someone, you deposit who you are into the person and you pick up who the person is. So if you are Florence, when you are sleeping with a guy, you are no longer Florence. You are a combination of Florence and the boy you are sleeping with. I wish we can see that sex is deeper than what we are all looking at. Sex is not just fun. It's not just fun. It involves the totality of a woman being dissolved in the man. A lady, an undergraduate, came to the office and as an undergraduate, she could not even recite ABC. As an undergraduate, a law student. We had to make our inquiries only to discover that she slept with one guy also, that his wife, a young guy, that his wife just left him because she herself was beginning to suffer from what we call partial madness. That guy has a long history of partial madness in his lineage. Don't be fast to say that, okay, if I sleep with someone that is spiritually strong, I will also be spiritually strong. I know you have it in your mind. Yes, I'm going ahead. You see, I went ahead of your thought. But it's beyond that. There is what we call STI, right? Sexually transmitted infection, right? You know, we are more scared of the sexually transmitted infection because sometimes we even think with condom, they can't wait. I'll explain that. I think when you buy a pack of condom, try your best, even if it's not in our nature as Nigerians to read. Try your best to read the instructor's manual. They will say to you that a condom is not 100% safe. So, as beautiful as your destiny is, why would you want to risk it even for 1%? The people producing it, ask them if they can use condom to sleep with an HIV positive person. But let's even say that they say with condom, my day can't be, and you think you are using condom to sleep with a girl. There are different things you pick from sex. Different things. In case you think condom can save you from sexually transmitted infection, what about spiritually transmitted infection? The bad thing is, sexually transmitted infection probably can be treated, but spiritually transmitted infection cannot be treated. It is generational until you stop. Who are you sleeping with? Who is lying to us? Who is saying that we cannot hold ourselves? As a growing girl, the truth is my life is my message. And it has liberated some people, at least to an extent. Time will not permit me to tell you my story today. even respected people trying to take advantage. By God's grace, there's a chapter of my book that I said, the last girl standing. And I said to myself, having been through fire, I was stupid at times. I was taken advantage of. Having been through all those things, I stand raising my head up, not in pride, but in fulfillment of purpose, to say, I am the last girl standing. And that was why I said that God is looking for that one man. That one man that will say, even when they are saying that sex is the only thing you will do to your boyfriend to keep him, excuse me, no woman in history has been able to keep a man to herself through sex. No woman. I have even in Guinness Book of Record, I've not seen it. Your story becomes interesting when you say, even if I was raped, I stood up. Even if everything, I stood up and I said, no, I will abstain. That is when it becomes a story. Does sleeping around sound like an information? Does it sound like what you will see and people will begin to appreciate you? Are we thinking? I'll tell you something. When you sleep around, when you partake or you engage in premarital sex, you are indirectly saying a prayer. God, may I not be great enough that my name can even become the national newspaper's headline or something. Is somebody getting that? I will explain. Have we seen some great men that they said, okay, sex scandal? Right? Sex scandal. I think the recent one was the Dominica Strauss-Kahn, was it? No, was it the IMF? Was it the one? But at least we've heard about series of people. We heard about Tiger Woods, a lot of the golf guy. We heard stories and all that. And the funniest thing is that those people did not even say at any point that they were born again. It means in our society, the moment you have reached a particular standard, there's what is expected of you morally. Right? But at least their name can, when we heard that, everybody was like, are you serious? Says scandal. If today they said, God forbid, but at least a name we know in Nigeria, say, cuts bands down. I'm sure we all want to buy the newspaper, right? But if you are saying now that, thank God, nobody even knows me, nobody knows that I'm sleeping around, who knows? If you wake up one morning, Chinedu cuts pants down, the question is, which Chinedu? But when Chinedu becomes the MD of Zenith Bank, that is a name. You understand? The first one is a name. MD of Zenith Bank is a name. You see, there's a difference between a name and a name. So when your name becomes a name, and they say Chinedu the MD, not Chinedu spare parts dealer, because nobody knows you. But when you now become the MD of Zenith Bank, Chinedu cuts pants down, isn't that a story? That's scandal. But if nobody knows about you now, and you are saying that because nobody knows, may I continue like that, you are saying that may I not be great. That is what I was trying to say. When you're on the floor and you're compromising, you are saying, may I not get to the top. In fact, God will not even take you there because you embarrass him. Right? Do we know the kind of prayers we say to ourselves unconsciously just by sleeping around? The young boys will say that if you want to show that you love me, you sleep with me. And our beautiful young girls will say, please, I love you, so I'll sleep with you. Are we thinking? I'm sorry if I'm sounding hard. Am I sounding hard? Am I hard on you? Forget. I understand that you're my partner and I love you. I love you. I love you. But I just want us to reason together. We are tired of seeing these lies passed from generation to generation. Even some of us in our spiritual states, we still fall for this. So we have a spiritual reason for sleeping around. I was tempted. See, temptation. We like to say temptation. I was tempted. All right, quickly. The second to last one I want to talk about of why people fall for premarital sex is low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is one good reason. Forget it. I got into my first relationship when I was 16. And well, later, my boyfriend happened to be a courtesan. Well, he wasn't a courtesan when I said yes to him, but he became a courtesan later. Fine boy, they call them fine boy. You know, when they say fine boy, you know who they are. You know, he became a fine boy. But the only reason I got into that relationship was because I was neglected at home. I wanted love and I didn't get the love. I grew up in a family where if they are having a particular discussion and I walk into the room, everybody will keep quiet. Do you understand? Where even you know that they don't want you. Because my father once looked at me and said, if it were to be that time they sell children to the judge, I would have sold you. No, my love language is words of affirmation. You can imagine what that word did to me. So my esteem was battered for a long time. As in, seriously battered. Nobody. You know, last year I had my book launch stroke conference. It was at National Stadium. And my father stood up, father of the day. And he said, I have always known that Florence will be great. Ah! I was speaking in tongues inside. Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit. But then he gave me a clue that Florence has got many fathers, many friends. It is only failure that is an orphan. You know, another teaching that came to my mind again, that period. And if you noticed, I was tweeting about it and I was updating it on my BB, that the best revenge for abuse or neglect is massive success. Not sleeping around. Say, guys, they raped me. My father didn't recognize me. They abused me. They did this. They don't want me. I'll go to the streets. No, that's not that information. The best revenge for abuse, parental neglect, whatever you have been through is massive success. That's the best revenge. So if you are a girl, you have been raped, and you say, because they have raped me, I will show guys. How can you be using a mistake to correct a mistake? How can you be killing yourself that you want to kill somebody? Excuse me. So having been through that, my esteem was battered. So just say I love you and I'm like, are you sure? Because when you don't hear some things at home, anybody that speaks those things to you become your love. So when he came and he said he loved me, I only gave him 6 months to test him if he really loves me. Like, you know, girls now try to be difficult. But in those 6 months I was praying, God, may this guy not change his mind. I'm only trying to be difficult. You know, as a growing girl, they say if a guy is toasting you now, don't say yes immediately. So that was why I told him I would think about it. And thinking about it was taking a long time. 6 months. In fact, the day he said he was not going to do again, that is not toasting me again, that was the day I said yes. Because I didn't want to lose him. I said, hey, the only person that is saying I love you now, after how many years? My esteem was battered, sincerely. And that was what took me to the relationship. As a young person, a young boy or a young girl, when your esteem has been, I was making my hair yesterday, and it was a guy that was making the hair. He was telling me how he went through a lot trying to love a girl. And the guy said, the truth is, I'm not sure of getting married. But in the midst of the things he was saying, I saw low self-esteem. He does not even feel he's good enough. Who are you? In conquering low self-esteem, you ask yourself who you are. You are not your name. I hope you know that. So when, talking to my young ladies, I tell them when a guy is coming to toast, you just ask the guy, who are you? The guy will say, my name is Chikudi. You are not your name. I didn't say, what is your name? I said, who are you? You are a solution provider. World-class general. You are God's favorite. You are fine, beautifully made. You have the perfect shape of eyes, nose, head. You were fearfully and wonderfully made. You know, one of the things that affected my esteem was because I felt I was short. And so any guy that came there, and I considered it a privilege. I didn't know the part of scriptures that said I was fearfully and wonderfully made. I didn't know my price was far above rubies, so I considered every relationship a privilege. Even if I will not say yes to the guy, I wanted the guy to come and toast me. I didn't know who I was. And so anything was going there. But when I discovered the truth about myself, I look at myself in the mirror every day and I say, Florence, you are beautiful. You have to. And I said, from that day, I said to myself, Florence, you are not short, you are portable. You are carryable. In fact, with me, it is easy. Ask my husband now, he carries me easily. Abby, he carries me, no stress, he just carries me. If I was to be tall. And I said to myself, anybody that is taller is too tall. If you are shorter, you are too short. If you are fatter, you are too fat. If you are thinner, you are too thin. If you are more beautiful, you are too beautiful. That brings me to the fact that I'm the best of my kind. If you understand that part about yourself, then no guy will trample on you, no woman or no lady will trample on you. Know yourself, and then it will help you a lot. When you know yourself and you're with your friends, maybe you are with some people, they are drinking alcohol, and you're feeling inferior, they will say you're taking water. No, because you know who you are. So self-esteem has got a great role. Most ladies sleeping around is because they don't know who they are. And most guys asking ladies out to sleep with them is because they don't know who they are. Let me explain this quickly. I know my time is going. As a guy, when you want to get married, what do they call you? The bridegroom, right? You are the groomer of the bride. Sincerely, your wife is your player and you are the coach. As a guy, you are not out there to use girls and dump them. How many girls will have good things to say about you in the nearest future? Have you ever thought about that? There are some guys that when I remember them today, one of them, I was begging that guy. I dropped out of the university because he didn't give me money for my school fees. He said he must sleep with me. And I said, I would rather drop out of the university, make money and go back than sleep my way through the university. At the end of the day, why do you want a certificate? Will you be proud enough to say that I slept my way through school? But when in fact, the first time I was on TV, that guy, so many years ago, was the first person that called me. Why did it happen like that? I keep talking about it. Why was he the first person that called me and said, Florence, I just saw you on TV. This was the same person that didn't give me money to pay my school fees. I was studying public administration there. So what do I have? It's just my church mind that I will use to have forgiven him. It's just an example I'm giving now. But the question is, when guys want to remember you few years, or when girls want to remember you few years from now, what would they say about you? That you took advantage of that weakness? Guys, every open door is not a breakthrough. That the girl is feeling weak and vulnerable around you. God bless you, sir. You're killing my spirit with all this time. My time is going. What would the guys say, or what would the girls say about you? We take advantage of it because the girl is weak. The girl is crying. Ladies are very emotional. And then a lot of guys are taking our tears for granted, using it against us. And as ladies, for crying out loud, you have a lot of responsibility. It is not every guy that comes to you that you should say yes to date the person. There were some people that came to me and I said, this one should be my protege, not even my boyfriend. It is easy. No, I had one like that was running around. I left him alone. Few months later, he was the one by himself, with himself and for himself, called me and said, Florence, can you mentor me? See, sweethearts, girls, some of these people should be your sons and your protege and not your boyfriend or your lover. For now. Is somebody getting something? Quickly, because of our time. All right. Then the last one on this, is early relationship. Early relationship. If you are not ready to get married in few years, when I say few years, like 1, 2, 3 years, why are you starting a relationship? I call it everlasting courtship. See, you have blood running through your vein and not water. No matter how spiritual or Christian you think you are, when the relationship is getting too long, when people say they are dating for 5 years, 6 years, and I'm asking, what are you doing? What are you doing in the relationship? So when the relationship is getting too long, you are prone to temptation. You can have sex. It's not your fault. It's your emotions now. How can we are attracted to ourselves, we'll not be in the room every day? What are you doing? Looking at yourself. How long are we going to look at ourselves? Quickly, how do we fight sexual temptations? Quickly, how do we fight? Please, you can read 1 Corinthians 6 verse 13. You want the scriptures to back it up? 1 Corinthians 6 verse 13. Excuse me, time will not permit us to read it now. 1 Corinthians 6 verse 13. Start from verse 13. 1 Corinthians 6 verse 13. How do we fight sexual temptations? How should we live about physical? I've been talking about the problems. Quickly, what are the solutions? I'll just give you a few points. Number one is set your heart. Set your heart. And that was why I talked about conviction and not people's opinion. Set your heart. And Daniel proposed in his heart not to defile himself with the portion of the king's meat. Sexual sins did not happen immediately. For every time you sleep with a girl, you must have thought about it. Our mind is very powerful. Someone said the mind is a nation, or imagination is a nation you travel to without visa. In your mind, you must have said a lot of things about the speaker, but you didn't say it out. The battle of life is first of all in the heart before in the physical. So guard your heart. Some of us, there's what we call voyeurism. Voyeurism is mind sex. For some of you, you are slept with that girl several times in your mind. So if you not have sex with her one day, don't say it was a fall. No, it was a process. It was a process. So set your heart. See, this heart is powerful. When you set your heart, even if the environment is in chaos, you are standing. Even if the boy, you leave relationship. The boy is saying, if you don't give me sex, I'll leave. Leave. The boy is just a passerby and not your bus stop. Just leave. If you stand for what is right, when you are ready to make your marital choice, you will have people that you begin to choose from. And at the end of the day, if you are a Christian, you just pray and make your decision. But please set your heart. The heart is very powerful. Make your decision and say, no, I will decide. Now, I am not saying it is easy, if you ask me. Because sex is fun after all, at least. As a married woman, I can say it. And they can say it, they can testify. Even if that's not the only thing that happens. You know, the devil used to deceive us a lot to think that married people, they have sex in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. You see, when doctor is thinking of his patients, that's, you know, we are contending with so many things, actually. But because you are not there, the devil just makes you look as if there is something big about it. Set your heart. The next one is select your friends. I've heard people say that friends cannot influence me. I beg to disagree. That the fastest people or the closest people to influence you are your friends. And that's why I said to people that I choose my friends carefully. My friends do not choose me. Sorry, that's not pride. And I learned to define every relationship. As a girl, a guy is coming close. Ask him, please, what is this closeness? Don't say you are jumping. You are being cleared. You are being careful. I'm not saying we should be too careful at the same time, but I'm saying that we should be wise enough to define every relationship and select our friends. I have seen a guy very close to a girl. At least they were not having sex, but they were really close. And in this girl's mind, if you ask her, you say the guy will propose to her. Only for this guy to go and propose to another person. And the girl was like, but he was close. And I asked, did he say he wanted you? He didn't say so. I call those guys, they propose by implication. Those are the kind of guys that will be asking you, do you know how to cook fried rice? And when you are asking again, do you know how to cook fried rice? In their mind, okay, because I'm going to be cooking it for you someday. And the guy will be coming to your house, be eating students. Students are the ones that are suffering from this more. The guy will be coming to eat, he will eat a goosey soup. You know guys, they like a goosey soup. They will eat a goosey soup, eat a bono soup, eat, and he will go and propose to someone else. Because you didn't act. So girls, shine your eye, oh. Shine your eye. Act, I beg. This one what they do. How you be now? Are you my friend? Are you my acquaintance? Okay. You'll be laughing now. Please. All right, quickly. All right, shoot the word. I like the word. Whenever you are faced with a sexual temptation, there is a word to back it up. Don't say, no. The word will help you. When you feed yourself with the word of God, temptation will be far. Even if it comes, you have the power to overcome the temptation. Then another one is sweat. You know, when I say sweat, it means walking. You know the story of David and Bathsheba. Is that the woman? Yeah, David and Bathsheba. Yeah, Bathsheba. If David had gone to the battlefield, I'm sure he wouldn't have seen her. David was not busy. That was why he went to the roof of his house when his servant should be there, and he was just walking around. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. So one of the reasons we fall for sexual sins is because we are not busy. Now, being busy is not forming busy or activity. It is being productive. There are different things you can come up with. I said to myself, before I get married, I must write my first book. And it happened. And I have seen people that are busy doing a lot of other things. There are records we should break. Something that has never happened in your family before, you can be the first to make it happen. But it requires time. So you need to sweat. A soldier in the battlefield is certainly not thinking about sex. It's life. So get busy. Then sprint. Sprint is important. Do we know sprinters? Sprinters are runners. I didn't say run now. I said sprint. It means run very fast. When you're faced with a sexual temptation as a Christian, don't start speaking in tongues. This girl is half naked and you are speaking in tongues. Your emotion is not a respecter of that tongue. You need to save your head first and speak in tongues later. You are a choir master. The girl comes, come and teach me how to sing. And then the girl is exhibiting. And you're like, with your eyes open. Excuse me, run first. Sprint. Run from sexual temptations. As a guy, you see the girl structure. Even as a girl, you are seeing 6 packs. Just 6 packs here and here. Be 5 packs. All those packs. Grab. A 6 pack. And the guy looks like your dream man. Tall, dark, and handsome. And you're like, God. God is good. God is good. Please let us save our head, eh? Let us save our head and run. Well, I just want to say that I hope this point has really helped us. And to add to it, if you're battling with masturbation, masturbation trains your body to ejaculate. Masturbation will lead to impotence. I have a list of clients that are battling with impotence now because they masturbate. Yes. Masturbation also makes you lose your memory. You forget things easily. Masturbation brings about fatigue. And for ladies, masturbation results to frigidity. Frigidity means you might not be able to enjoy sex with your husband. There is what we call semen leakage too when you masturbate. Because as a guy, there is a way your body has been designed to release unwanted semen. We call some of those times wet dreams or nocturnal emission. So when you masturbate, you fast track this production of semen in your body. Do we understand? So you can see that masturbation is a no-go area. And then homosexuality. For crying out loud, sex we are talking about is between 2 opposite sex and not same sex. I see a trend that there are some top guys trying to destroy the lives of our young guys. Don't allow anyone exchange your destiny for his own on the platter of sex. So please, sex is not for a boy and a boy or a girl and a girl. It's between a man and a woman in the marriage environment actually. Do we understand? The compare was saying that our stature is a product of sex. Is sex in the right environment? You can see that she's pregnant. Yes, that's what happens to you in the right environment, but between a boy and a girl. So please watch on that. And pornography. Even for married people, pornography does not teach you sex. It breeds comparison. So do away with pornography. You can't say you want to abstain, you don't want to have sex, and you're always watching pornography. Check your phone. Nude pictures, pornographic pictures. It will not help you. You cannot be sane and be keeping pictures like that. I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you.
Presence, where you see young people, both male and female. And I want to use this opportunity to thank God for this foundation, Dinma and Nedum, it is not easy to have a foundation like this where you want to educate people. Because of time, I'm going to talk about sex in the medical perspective. Thank you. Sex in the medical perspective. Florence Nightingale, thank you so much. Wonderful, soft landing for me. In fact, she has said so much. So I'm going to jump most of the slides because she has really said so much. And all this happened to intertwine if you are talking about medicine and the social when it comes to sex. Sex is such a powerful word. If you don't understand the power that comes with sex, you might underestimate it. That is why we want to tell you about the medical aspect of what happens in your brain when you think about sex. That is why sometimes you might say you don't want to go back to a particular act. You see yourself going back again. Why? Despite all the prayers and fasting, despite all your decisions, you still go back again. Why? We want to tell you about how the mind, your brain, works when each time you think about sex. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes, I'm good. Okay. Now, somebody should be the slides. Okay. Now, we want to look at sex. Some people were trying to express the force that is being liberated each time we talk about sex. People have said all sorts of things. It's like trying to push a very hard rock and bring it crashing, to tell you how solid the power that comes when we talk about sex. Please. Okay. Now, for the purpose of this group, we have tried to narrow down our topic of sex because it's very large to that of premarital sex and its consequences. Okay, beautiful. Okay, good. Okay, good. Beautiful. So, the consequences, if you look at the slide, that's why we put the slides there, so that you'll be able to follow what we are discussing. Consequences and repercussions of promiscuity, how it affects sexual health of individuals when they get married, effects of untreated STIs and relationship with infertility. Please, you can take notes. You might not necessarily copy all this, okay? It's just to guide you as I speak, so that you can follow what I'm discussing. Objectives. What are we supposed to learn today? What is the purpose of this lecture? If you look, you can see the objective there, that chastity is still very important. Sex is still honorable in marriage. If you are struggling with sexual sin, this lecture is for you. Promiscuity, does it have any dangers? You know, when we jump from one lady to the other, or from one man to the other, is there any consequences? The sexuality and pornography, masturbation, you can name them. Does it mean anything? We can continue to do that. Is there any problem? In terms of our sexual health, when we mention rape and all those stuff, do we have any issue? Does it work on our psychic? These are the things we need to know today, so that we'll be very careful now that we are young, so that we'll not have any regrets. Working definition. What is sex? Sexual activity, especially sexual intercourse, is an activity There is an intercourse. So we need to understand, based on etymology, what is sex. You can also see we are looking at sexual. When you're talking about something is sexual, what do we mean? We are talking about instincts. In fact, the instinct is the problem here, because when we talk about instinctive behavior, that means these things come up. We don't really, sometimes we don't think about them. Sometimes we think about them. Sometimes they use memory, but they keep replaying itself. So it becomes really very, very, how do I put it? Is complicated, but it can be handled if you keep following this lecture. We are going somewhere. So relating to the instincts and physiological process and activities, physical, inanimate object, contact, and so on, there are a lot of grammar there. But the point is that there is an interaction. It is not just one thing. You can just say sex. No. In fact, they said if someone is having sex, the whole 5 senses are involved. That is why if a man should sign a check during sexual intercourse, in the law court is null and void, because he's not thinking. Any statement made during sex is null and void. It's not true. Because at that point, the brain is no longer reasoning. It is just